In the grand tapestry of modern society, there exists a subtle yet pervasive force that influences the lives of nearly every individual on the planet. It is a system so deeply ingrained, so utterly pervasive, that its presence is often felt but rarely seen. This is the financial system, a complex web of banks, institutions, and transactions that underpins the very fabric of our global economy. On the surface, it appears to function with clockwork precision, a finely tuned machine that enables the free flow of capital and commerce. Yet, beneath this facade of efficiency lies a more sinister reality, one in which the majority of people are unwittingly trapped. The roots of this entrapment can be traced back to the early days of capitalism, when the concept of debt was first introduced as a means of facilitating economic growth. Over time, this innocent-sounding mechanism evolved into a powerful tool of control, as individuals and nations alike became increasingly beholden to the whims of lenders and creditors. Today, the average person is born into a world where debt is not only normalized but actively encouraged, from the moment they take out their first student loan to the day they sign the papers on their mortgage. And it is here, in this endless cycle of borrowing and repayment, that the financial system exerts its most insidious influence. As the years go by, the weight of these financial obligations begins to take its toll, slowly but surely draining the life from our wallets and our spirits. We toil in jobs that barely cover our expenses, forced to sacrifice our dreams and aspirations on the altar of economic necessity. And yet, despite our best efforts, the struggle to make ends meet never seems to end, as the cost of living continues to rise and the value of our money steadily erodes. It is a vicious cycle, one that threatens to consume us all, and it is here that we must ask ourselves, what lies at the heart of this never-ending struggle, and how can we hope to break free from the shackles of a system that seems designed to keep us trapped forever? The financial system, a complex web of institutions and instruments, has become an integral part of our daily lives. We work, we earn, we spend, and we save, all within the confines of a system that promises to facilitate our economic well-being. However, beneath the surface of this seemingly innocuous system lies a more sinister reality. A reality that keeps most people trapped in a cycle of debt, stifles social mobility, and perpetuates economic inequality. The problem begins with the way money is created. Most people assume that governments print money to stimulate economic growth, but in reality, the majority of money is created by commercial banks through the process of lending. When a bank approves a loan, it doesn't just transfer existing money from one account to another, it creates new money. This process, known as fractional reserve banking, allows banks to create money out of thin air, while charging interest on the loans they make. The result is a system where the majority of the money in circulation is debt-based, and the flow of money is controlled by a handful of powerful financial institutions. As a consequence, individuals are forced to participate in this debt-based system, often from a very young age. Student loans, credit cards, mortgages, and car loans become the norm, saddling people with decades of debt repayments. The constant pressure to service these debts means that people are forced to work longer hours, often in jobs that are unfulfilling and unrewarding, just to keep up with their loan repayments. This creates a culture of debt slavery, where individuals are trapped in a never-ending cycle of borrowing and repayment, with little hope of ever escaping. Furthermore, the financial system is designed to favor the wealthy and powerful, at the expense of the average person. Tax laws, investment opportunities, and access to credit are all skewed in favor of the elite, allowing them to accumulate even more wealth and power. The result is a system that perpetuates economic inequality, where the rich get richer, and the poor get poorer. The middle class, once the backbone of society, is slowly being eroded, as people struggle to make ends meet, and find themselves falling further and further behind. The financial system's stranglehold on society is also reflected in the way it influences government policy. Politicians, often beholden to their financial backers, implement policies that favor the interests of the wealthy and powerful, rather than the general population. This can lead to austerity measures, cuts to social services, and tax breaks for corporations, all of which exacerbate economic inequality and limit social mobility. The result is a system that is rigged against the average person, where the deck is stacked in favor of the wealthy and powerful, and where the odds of success are stacked against those who are not born into privilege. As we delve deeper into the mechanisms that govern our financial lives, it becomes increasingly clear that the system is designed to keep most people trapped in a cycle of debt and dependency. The truth is, the financial infrastructure that underpins our modern world is built on a foundation of debt creation, with the majority of money in circulation being borrowed into existence. This means that the very fabric of our economy is rooted in the concept of lending and borrowing, with interest payments serving as the lifeblood of the financial system. The implications of this are far-reaching, as it creates a situation where the vast majority of people are forced to participate in the debt cycle, either directly or indirectly. From mortgages and credit cards to student loans and payday lending, the options for borrowing money are numerous, and the consequences of not participating can be severe. Those who choose not to borrow, or are unable to do so, are often relegated to the fringes of society, forced to live on the margins and struggle to make ends meet. But what's even more insidious is the way in which the financial system is designed to perpetuate inequality. The wealthy elite, who have access to vast amounts of capital and influence, are able to manipulate the system to their advantage, using their power and resources to accumulate even more wealth. Meanwhile, the majority of people are left to fight over the scraps, struggling to make ends meet and barely scraping by. The net result is a system that is rigged against the average person, with the odds stacked heavily in favor of those who are already wealthy. One of the primary mechanisms by which this inequality is perpetuated is through the use of compound interest. By lending money at high interest rates, financial institutions are able to generate enormous profits, which are then used to further concentrate wealth and power in the hands of the elite. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle, where the wealthy are able to accumulate even more wealth, while the poor are forced to pay ever-increasing amounts of interest on their debts. The consequences of this are devastating, as people become trapped in a never-ending cycle of debt, with no hope of escape. Furthermore, the financial system is also designed to encourage consumption and materialism, with the constant barrage of advertising and marketing messages encouraging people to buy. This creates a culture of instant gratification, where people are encouraged to prioritize short-term pleasures over long-term financial security. The result is a society that is deeply in debt, with many people living beyond their means and struggling to make ends meet. The financial system is designed to keep people in this state of indebtedness, as it is highly profitable for the banks and other financial institutions that lend money at high interest rates. By keeping people in debt, the financial system is able to generate enormous profits, which are then used to further concentrate wealth and power in the hands of the elite. This creates a self-perpetuating cycle of debt and dependency, where the majority of people are forced to struggle to make ends meet, while the wealthy elite continue to accumulate more and more wealth. The consequences of this system are far-reaching and devastating, with many people being forced to live in poverty and debt, with little hope of escape. As we delve deeper into the intricate mechanisms of the financial system, it becomes increasingly evident that the deck is stacked against the average individual. The illusion of freedom and choice is carefully crafted to keep people trapped in a cycle of debt and consumption. One of the most insidious tools used to maintain this status quo is the concept of compound interest. On the surface, it appears to be a benign, even beneficial, aspect of banking, allowing individuals to earn passive income on their savings. However, when applied to debt, compound interest becomes a ruthless predator, devouring the financial stability of countless families. The financial system is designed to encourage borrowing, with enticing offers of credit cards, mortgages, and personal loans. These loans often come with interest rates that seem manageable, but over time, the cumulative effect of compound interest can be staggering. For example, a credit card balance of $2,000 with an interest rate of 18% can quickly balloon to $3,000, then $4,000, and eventually $6,000 or more, even if the individual is making regular payments. This is not an anomaly, but a deliberate design feature, intended to keep people in a state of perpetual debt. Another mechanism used to maintain control is the manipulation of financial information. The system is shrouded in complexity, with obscure terminology and arcane regulations that make it difficult for laypeople to understand. This lack of transparency allows financial institutions to conceal their true intentions and fees, making it nearly impossible for individuals to make informed decisions about their financial lives. The consequences of this opacity are far-reaching, with many people unwittingly signing away their financial freedom in the fine print of contracts and agreements. The financial system's stranglehold on society is further reinforced by the proliferation of predatory lending practices. Payday lenders, in particular, have become notorious for their exploitative tactics, charging exorbitant interest rates and fees to vulnerable individuals who are desperate for quick cash. These lenders prey on people's desperation, knowing that they will be unable to repay the loans, and then use the resulting debt to further ensnare their victims. This cycle of exploitation is not only morally reprehensible but also perpetuates a broader culture of financial insecurity, keeping people trapped in a never-ending cycle of debt and poverty. Ultimately, the financial system's primary objective is not to serve the needs of individuals or society, but to perpetuate its own power and influence. By maintaining a culture of debt and financial ignorance, the system ensures its continued dominance over the global economy. However, by shining a light on these hidden mechanisms and educating ourselves about the true nature of the financial system, we can begin to break free from its grasp and forge a more equitable and just economic future. The first step towards liberation is awareness, and it is only by acknowledging the extent of the financial system's control that we can start to build a better tomorrow. The journey to financial freedom will not be easy, but with knowledge and determination, we can overcome the obstacles and create a brighter future for ourselves and future generations. As we conclude our journey into the intricacies of the financial system, it becomes clear that the mechanisms in place are designed to maintain a delicate balance of power, with those at the helm holding the reins. The majority of the population is kept in a state of financial subservience, shackled by debt, ignorant of the true nature of the system, and misled by the illusion of choice. The perpetual cycle of consumption and debt perpetuates a never-ending loop, where individuals are forced to prioritize short-term gains over long-term financial security. The system's inherent complexity and the intentional obfuscation of its workings have led to a populace that is either disengaged or disillusioned. The consequences are stark, with the wealth gap widening and social mobility dwindling. It is imperative that we acknowledge the existence of this framework and the role we play within it. By doing so, we can begin to challenge the status quo and strive for a more equitable and just financial system. The first step towards change is awareness, and it is our hope that this exploration has shed light on the hidden forces that shape our financial reality, empowering you to make informed decisions and take control of your financial destiny.